Did you know if you zoom out far enough, you can't see the Earth? Sometimes the problems that we see in front of us, we give a lot more weight than what they really deserve. In last week's episode, I had some trouble with installing the parts back into the axle housing. But the reality was, it was more of a mental struggle than a physical one. The good news is, I'm learning. And passing off what I've learned to others is the best service I could provide. The bad news is, I had to destroy a perfectly good part to learn this lesson. But on a long enough timeline, even the worst loss can turn into a net gain. And that's what happened here. Thanks to viewers like you, I got a message on my Instagram from a guy named Ollie, and he sent me over all the PDF manuals I need to do everything in this project. It took me failing in the short term to gain in the long term, and I couldn't be more thankful. Thanks again, Ollie, for the help. I appreciate it more than you know. I'm trying to work out the best way to get this done. Although the axle isn't exactly light, I can still move it around somewhat easily, but it's extremely awkward to hold. So I'm suffering through a short balancing act to get this done. All I need to do is push the pinion shaft through the bearing on the other side while supporting the bearing and leaving room for the pinion shaft to come out the other side all the way. Sounds pretty easy, but it's much easier said than done. But it can be done. After all, I got it out doing it the same way not that long ago. After a few attempts, I've worked out how I need to set this up. High enough I can get the axle in, but low enough I can get contact with the pinion. It was quite the challenge.
Alright, that's pretty tough. But we did it. We got it in. A ring and all. Thank God. It moves smoothly.
My truck sat without a drivetrain, front axle, and interior for the last 6 months. And although that's not really that long in the grand scheme of things, I'm really starting to miss driving it around. But it'll all be worth it when I can drive it with everything fixed and upgraded. So I started to install the seals that have been sitting on my shelf for the last few weeks, but I'm starting to notice a common theme with this axle. Nothing is really going smoothly. Even with the manuals I have, there isn't a whole lot of detail. But going off pictures I have, I can work backwards and figure it out. One way or another, that seal is going in. There's no way they can be wrong.
Now for the other side. So this side's going to be a little bit tricky in my opinion because I have to put the diff lock cylinder and the gear in, and I think that really this is the only part of the seal that's going to be on it. So I'm going to try and lube this up a little bit and see how it fits in the seal first before I go slamming it in there. I don't want to do any damage to it, but I don't have to. So it should sit in like this. And this piece doesn't really move. Let's try and put it in this way. That way we can kind of work it up. And you know that you have this in here when you try and pull it out and it catches. This little ridge is what basically keeps it in place. So that's all the way out. And the seal this is not the right seal. I'm glad we found that out.
So now we're gonna put the CV boot on, and I'm just gonna try and push it on from the back side here. CV wasn't bad. So we got the CV boot on. I'm just gonna put the C-clip in and put the grease in. And now I'm just going to do a test fit to make sure that the axle actually fits through the seal. Huh. That seal's not right either. So come to find out, this axle is a Q979 axle from 1980. I have no idea why my 85 300 GD has this axle, but it's a rare one. Luckily, I found the guy that knows his stuff over at 4x4 Club, and he's going to set me up with the right parts. I just have to wait a little while. Well, folks, until next time, maybe then we'll get our axle finally finished.